Alright, so we're gonna go for a roll in my car. Alright, aloha, welcome. So we're at the beach celebrating me running with my Porsche. It's been 1 year since I got the 2005 Black 997 all sorted out, and we're going to go over what it costs. And if you look way in the background, there she is, way in the distance. I don't know if you can see it better that way. Okay. A different coffee drink this time. That was good. Normally I drink the one that says cappuccino. This one just is coffee. It's just cream and sugar. It's sweet. No chocolate. I'm sorry. Okay. This is a good video. This is really important. So my black Porsche 911, I bought it. It's probably one of the cheapest Porsche 911 sold, especially as a 997. I picked it up for $7,000. In not running condition, it was only supposed to have a blown motor, and it turned out to have a lot more wrong with it. Now the motor actually wasn't blown, so I guess it's a fair trade. The car had a blown engine oil cooler, a blown coolant expansion tank, and the dealership said it had oil in the coolant, so they said cracked block, cracked head, replace the motor, possible head gasket, but still engine needs to come out. It's going to be $7,000 to even know what's wrong with it. Could be $35,000 to $40,000 by the time it's done. And me being dumb, I was like, I'll buy it and I'll take it apart in my garage, because there's a YouTube guy and he says make poor decisions or poor choices. I don't know, but I like his channel. So there we go. Me copying other people's ideas. And so I bought the car. There was some drama buying it, but it was minor. I got the car to my house and it needed a battery, but it may not have needed a battery. It needed a voltage regulator for the alternator, so I'd take that apart and fix it. It needed a battery for the key, so multiple batteries. The oil cooler, which was a bunch of drama because no one wanted to help me. Out here in Hawaii, and talking to the guy at 9XX Motors down in Long Beach, he was totally cool. He rebuilds motors, and he told me that it's probably not the engine. It's probably not a cracked head. He says, I've built several of those motors, and they're usually fine. And what you described to me with just oil in the coolant, but no coolant in the oil, is probably the oil cooler. So I explained, drop the engine out, not 100%, drop it out, take apart the intake manifold so you could reach back in there and swap that out. I did that, swapped out the oil pressure sensor because it didn't read correct oil pressure, fan control unit because the fans weren't turning on in the front for the AC, and then turned out that the evaporator box under the dash was leaking. That's another story. So But for the most part, a year ago I made a video and talked about how I got the car running. And I'll put a link in the top of the little box. I don't know how it really works. It'll be in there. About that original video. And I basically got the car running for about $5,000, about $4,000 in parts, $1,000 in tools, because I didn't own any tools when I bought the car. See, poor choices. But it was okay. I had a little bit of money saved up. And then after I got the car up and running, I discovered that the rear shock had a bad mount in it. There's like a collar and an aluminum thing and a rubber, and the rubber had worn out and it cracked the aluminum little collar. And so I had all that rebuilt. And I had the car four-wheel aligned, and that was about $1,200. And then kept having this issue with the secondary air injection. I gave the car a tune-up, so I did new coil packs, new spark plugs. It already had a new air filter, new cabin filter, an oil change, and that almost fixed it. It wasn't quite right, and I gave up, and I sent it to the dealer. And the dealer told me something that didn't quite make sense, but, well, the first thing it said was the secondary air injection pump was bad, and so they went ahead, I okayed that, and the stupid pump is like $1,100 or $1,200 for a blowing pump, which just blows fresh air into the ignition system to help the gases ignite when the car cold starts, so the cats get hot faster, so the car runs cleaner, quicker. Whew, that's hard to say. Also, the air conditioning box, paid someone to replace that. And then the check engine light, I had one more issue with it, and I brought it back, and the dealership said something that didn't make sense, and it was the decarbonation of the exhaust. And they pulled the exhaust headers off, and the ports where that cold air induction was all carbon filled, so it wasn't blowing, and they went and cleaned it out with a wire brush and put the headers back on, and now the car runs perfect. And now I'm fixing the last little things I just fixed on the car, so woohoo, which is the windshield washer sprayer fluid, which was the last thing to fix. Now, I took the car racing, no, I don't know, autocrossing it, not really racing it because it's just a 1-minute sprint. And at the place where they race, the racing is Aloha Stadium, and there's these giant old school speed bumps. They look like tables. And when I hit it with the Porsche, it's just like clack, grind, and then you go over the speed bump. And when I hit it, just shortly after that, the airbag light turned on, and I was like, oh man. But the sensor's pretty high up there, so it's not that it hit it, it's just that it was old, and it just failed, and I had to replace that, and that was extra $150. And I just made a video of me taking apart the bumper for the third time, so maybe the fourth time. The third time I remember taking off that front bumper. And yeah, the car's all good, 100% sorted out now. Everything works as it should work. Stereo works as it should, volume works as it should, sunroof works as it should, doors lock and unlock as it should, windows go up and down as they should. The little key unlocks and locks the door with the remote. And the car's quick. It's 2005 quick. You know, is it as fast as some newer cars? No, but it's still a joy to drive. Things that are deferred on it, and still in my opinion, is it needs new front tires. The tires on it are like 6 years old. When I took it to the autocross, it was just plowing through all the turns, and I was like, oh. And then when I slam on the brakes, the front would lock up, and it would ABS, shimmy, nunk, gunk, 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 and so, which isn't right. And soon it's going to need brakes all the way around. So, or, you know, that's what that is. So I bought the car for $7,000. Let's just say I put $5,000 to get it running, so that's $12,000. $3,000 to fix the AC, so that's $15,000. Another $3,000 for the secondary air injection and the shock and the decarbonization, so that's $18,000. Oh yeah, and I went hot rodding the car, and I punched it and broke the throwout bearing in the Porsche, and so that was a whole new clutch kit. I needed everything but the flywheels, because the clutch actually didn't wear thin. I just broke something in it, and so that was an extra $3,000. So I'm in the car $21,000, not including some of the tools that I bought, the stickers that are on the car, all the car wash, wax, polish, or oil, or the gallons of coolant that have gone through the car. But that's not bad. $21,000 for high mileage, good enough looking, 997.1. The car's a joy to drive. I mean, drives smooth. It's pretty quiet. You wind it up around 3,500, 4,000 RPM. It starts to bellow and make some noise, and it's a lot of fun. It gets a lot of attention. It looks newer than it is, even though I have a 2016. It just is a nice looking car. And so now I don't know what to do. So mission accomplished. I bought the car, I fixed it up, I took it to the car show, showed it off to people, I raced it. Now everything's fixed on it and it's going to run good. So if I sell it, I will not feel bad about whoever buys it. But what is it worth? Oh my God. That's all we're going to talk about now. I hope you enjoyed this video, and subscribe, like, Alfa Romeos. Still got the Alfa Romeos. I went over and I pulled out the fuel pumps. I learned that you do not have to drop the gas tank. So I got out both fuel pumps and the fuel filter, and those are ordered, and hopefully they'll be here in less than 2 weeks, coming from wherever they're coming from. I'm super excited to get the Alfa Romeo running, because that will be a fun toy. Aloha, till next time.